Pick up the rest of the squad. Plot a course for Bsaa Europe HQ. Someone's gotta pay.
Capcom has officially confirmed that Shadows of Rose will be the final installment to the Winters Family saga. With that brings a lot of speculation and theories for Resident Evil 9. There was a massive rumor that RE9 was going to be a connected Winters Family trilogy with RE7 and RE Village, and with a report from Kento Kinoshita, the director of Resident Evil Village, it is officially false. From character appearances, plot, and villains, the discussion for Resident Evil 9 is wide open. In this video, I will be talking about some ways RE9 can possibly play out, but of course we all have our own ways of imagining Resident Evil 9. As for the leaks that happened for this game weeks ago, these were debunked and fake, but is there a possibility for Wendigo like BOWs in the next Resident Evil game? Absolutely, but only time will tell. Many fans wanted a second Resident Evil Village DLC to be about Chris going to the BSAA HQ, which I was a part of that group, but thinking about it, it goes way deeper than a DLC. This is the company that Chris and Jill helped co-found, and now it's become the very thing they swore to destroy. But is it really the BSAA behind this? I don't think so. I feel like the BSAA got hijacked by someone wanting to destroy the BSAA for a very long time. There are many possible enemies to be responsible for this. Number one is the connections. The very mysterious person behind it, Brandon Bailey, will officially reveal his identity, and alongside him with that BSAA takeover is Raymond Vester and Jessica Sharawat from Revelations 1. After the events of Revelations 1, we found out they were working for Tricell, and that company is no more, but we don't know what happened to these two specifically. I would assume they are mercenaries for hire, since I don't think they would fall off the face of the earth just yet. Which sets up the return of Jill Valentine. The 13+ year long wait is over, and she is on a journey with Chris Redfield to take down the Connections, Raymond, and Jessica, especially for what happened in Revelations 1. What happened to the Hound Wolf squad, you may ask? Well, let's just say they got the Chris Redfield special. You guys know what I'm talking about. On the other hand, the second option behind the infiltration is Alex Wesker, or should I say, Natalia. At the end of Revelations 2, we ended up getting a really big tease of Alex Wesker inside the mind of Natalia, and by this time, 10 years after the events of Revelations 2, I'm pretty sure Alex has taken over. She infiltrates the company that took down her brother and hunts for specifically Chris Redfield. Now you are probably wondering, Natalia was adopted by Barry Burton, so what happens to Barry? Well, I think the dislikes are coming in, but in this theory, I have Barry being killed off by Alex Wesker. Okay, now that I think of it, maybe I could say Alex just ran away and escaped from the Burton family without them knowing. It possibly could go down like that. Maybe she's hanging out with her friends and then all of a sudden Alex Wesker takes over Natalia. Something cheesy like that, because I think Capcom would do something like that as well. Barry fans, I hope you're not mad at me, and I apologize for the insane cruelty that I laid upon you. So there are two sides of revenge to this story. Alex with the BSAA, and Chris and Jill with Raymond and Jessica, along with Alex as well. I would also strongly consider to have Claire Redfield return for Resident Evil 9 as well. It would reunite the Redfield siblings, which could lead to multiple campaigns. Last time that happened, it was RE6, but many great RE games have done it before, with the first two Resident Evil games being the primary example. That's definitely a possibility that Capcom can work on. Now let's just say both the Connections and Wesker work together. If that's the case, then call everyone back up. Bring back all of them. Chris, Jill, Claire, and Leon. I would love a game like this, and they all have their own campaigns that isn't rushed and Capcom takes their sweet ass time with it. Make it the biggest Resident Evil game ever and do it with the characters we fell in love with and helped us become the fans we are today of this franchise. And yes, we must include Ada in this as well. Wherever Leon is in a Resident Evil game, Ada is there as well. Then I would use the Resident Evil Revelation series for the characters we haven't seen in a while that have been drifted off into the one-off character atmosphere, like Sheva, Sherry, Carlos, and even though this person isn't a one-off, I would say Rebecca as well, especially if Revelations 3 is focused on her as the rumors mention. But aside from that, we got multiple enemies that can fit the bill when it comes to RE9 antagonists, but it all focuses on the fall of the BSA, and I believe after the infiltration they will rebuild it while Chris and Jill stay. As for people like Claire, I would expect her to stay at TerraSave and continue her work. Possibly Sherry Birkin could join her and create an amazing duo that we have wanted to see in their adult years. The Leon part now gets really tricky. He's wanted to escape from his BOW world, whether if it's his vacation, running away, or going off the grid. His story should either end with him disappearing, or, as I should shockingly say, being killed off, and I personally think there is no other way, especially from how he was in Resident Evil Vendetta. Preferably, I would like for him to escape with Ada and go off the grid, never to be seen again and live the rest of their lives together. Maybe even have a child as well. I mean, hey, it could work. Chris's fate is already determined in the DLC, as we know he is alive after 16 years. The time jump is absolutely insane, but at least we know this DLC is the final chapter to you-know-what. It also confirms Chris doesn't die, but listen, we may not know about his fate until we fully play the DLC, so I kinda just contradicted myself right there, but since we are exactly or less than 1 month away, you can only be excited about it. Now, why do I want multiple campaigns and all these characters in one game? Well, because they're old as hell now. Sure, they can stay fit in their 40s, but you don't think a guy like Leon has drowned himself in alcohol yet now that he's 45? I personally do think Chris definitely will be involved in RE9, but do I want him to be the main guy? No, not really. I still believe that belongs to Jill, but having those two together for a co-op-like experience could be amazing, especially if people want to have that feature back in a Resident Evil game. Now, an interesting topic can be, is RE9 going back into horror and saying F the action? I personally just can't see that now with Ethan being dead, because he was really a big reason as to why horror made a return to the franchise. Since you see Leon doing a roundhouse kick, Chris doing a boulder punch, and other characters doing their moves, etc., etc., it's probably going to be very hard to accomplish that to the point where they don't know how to fight BOWs in hand-to-hand combat. But if they do go down that route, then I wouldn't be mad. I don't think horror really ruins Resident Evil, but it goes into what kind of atmosphere and what kind of monsters we would be facing. I've seen many people wanting zombies back into the series. Last game it was RE6, and timeline purposes we're not counting games that take place in 1998, but you get it. I find it interesting that they went down a somewhat mythological creature route with vampire werewolves known as Lycans. They kind of reminded me if the Ganados were on steroids. The Lycans, in my opinion, were very, very good, but with these weird clones that Chris found in his helicopter, does that seem to be what the next enemies are going to be like? I really have no clue, but this is an interesting route I'm about to take here. These enemies were able to rappel down the rope of whatever aircraft they're on, as we saw in the Chris section, later revealing these are bioweapons, which is very interesting that they're able to do that. So I have a few interesting theories here. Which virus could this be? Well, my first guess would be the A virus from Resident Evil Vendetta. The A virus is a genus of the progenitor virus, which was engineered by a bioweapon research team led by former CIA agent Glenn Arias. As we know, Glenn Arias turned into a tyrant and died in Vendetta, but let me continue. What set this viral disease apart from many other progenitor-derived strains was the slower rate of cognitive deterioration, resulting in zombies capable of a degree of speech and coordination. The virus was also noted to be highly flammable, a trait it seemingly also passed on to those infected with it, via a somewhat light gas form. So, Glenn Arias is dead. So, who could be behind this exactly? Maria Gomez. Maria was one of the antagonists in Vendetta, but in the end of the movie we got a teaser of her being alive after those events, motivating her revenge on the BSAA. This particular scene I'm playing right now could be the reason behind BSAA soldiers turning into BOWs. And if you haven't watched this scene or movie, I would suggest it solely for the possibility of RE9 and, not the actual movie, because Leon went into his emo phase in this one and a lot of people didn't like it, including myself, but you know what I mean. So she is now all alone after the death of her father, Diego, and Glenn. She could have possibly taken a role into the hijacking of the BSAA, hired or working with the connections. All of these people I mentioned have their reasons against the BSAA, and would be perfect enemies to be in RE9. This game has been heavily rumored to be one of the biggest projects for Capcom, and I am confidently speaking, when RE4 Remake is done and launched into 2023, expect a full, hands-on commitment to Resident Evil 9. Now, when is the release date going to be? Who knows? I'm going to guess around 2025 or early 2026. This video could be way too early to post, but I was beyond eager to drop this for you guys. Does this necessarily mean that this is going to be the main focus of RE9? No, we're going to have to wait for a reveal trailer because they can take any route they want with this. It could be introducing a new character, new enemies we never seen in RE, but they can also go back to the legacy characters and close their chapters for good, and I think this is the perfect opportunity to do so. So, where would this take place? I would easily say Europe, since that's where Chris was going and that's where BSA HQ is, well, in Europe, because they probably have other facilities around the globe. Which honestly contradicts my saying of the facility being rebuilt, but I guess you can do it for Europe's sake if that makes any sense. Either way, after this RE8 DLC is done, we will be looking forward to RE4 Remake, and then our attention will be all focused on RE9. Or maybe, just maybe, we could get Revelations 3, because I'm still on that hope train, so let me just live on it until that shit crashes, okay? But either way, guys, what are your thoughts on this video? Do you think any of the villains I mentioned will be in Resident Evil 9, or is there a possibility there? What legacy character do you want to see in Resident Evil 9? There's many questions that I want to ask you guys, but just feel free to voice your opinions in the comments down below and your overall thoughts on this video. This was going to be a way bigger video than what this did end up turning out to be, but I am glad that I was able to finally get this out. I'm over my sickness now, so expect some banger videos in the future. But with everything out of the way, guys, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more. Thank you guys for 2,000 subscribers. This is only going to get better for this channel and for all of us. Thank you for that, and thank you for that milestone. Next goal is 5K subs, so be sure to hit that subscribe button as I said before. I hope you guys have yourselves a good day, a good night, and a good sleep. I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace out, and much love.